indeterminate minds. 3. Furthermore, as a result of a salutary action, one undergoes a pleasant retribution. As a result of a pernicious action, one undergoes an unpleasant retribution. As a result of an action that is neither salutary nor pernicious action, one undergoes a neither unpleasant nor pleasant retribution. As a result of an action to be experienced in the present lifetime, one undergoes a retribution in the present lifetime. As a result of an action to be experienced after having been reborn, one undergoes a retribution after having been reborn, i.e., in the very next lifetime to come. As a result of an action to be undergone later, one undergoes a retribution in a later existence from the third onward. As a result of an impure action, one undergoes a retribution of torment. As a result of a pure action, one undergoes a retribution free of torment. As a result of a mixed action, one undergoes a mixed retribution. 4. Furthermore, there are two kinds of actions: the action that must necessarily be experienced and the action that will not necessarily be experienced. The action that must necessarily be experienced is that from which one cannot escape. A. Sometimes the action that must necessarily be experienced depends on the time, a person and the place in order to undergo its retribution. Thus a person who is to enjoy happiness in the company of a noble cakravartin king awaits the moment when the noble cakravartin king appears in the world. And that is the moment when he attains his reward. Therefore he depends on the time. He depends also on an individual, on the occurrence of the noble cakravartin king, and finally, he depends on the place, i.e., the place where the noble cakravartin king is born. But there are actions that must necessarily be experienced which do not depend on any skill or any deed. Whether they are beautiful or ugly, they present themselves without being sought. Thus for the person who has taken birth in the paradises, the happiness resulting from merit appears by itself, and for the person who is in hell, the suffering resulting from the sin follows him by itself. These actions do not depend on causes and conditions because they are especially serious. As actions inevitably to be experienced, see for example the army of Pili that killed 72,000 men who were in possession of the path and innumerable lay practitioners who are keeping the 5 precepts. See also the great magicians like Malin, etc., who could not be saved. See also Pokiolo, who was thrown by his stepmother into the fire, into boiling water and into water, but who did not die. Finally, the Buddha, when he was traveling through the kingdoms as a wandering mendicant, was begging and did not lack for offerings of food. However, 500 carts brought him kingly food. In the foliage alongside of which he was walking, there grew seeds of rice, and in his cooked rice there was an emulsion of 100 flavors. Good or bad actions of this kind are to be experienced necessarily. The others do not necessarily have to be experienced. 5. The desire realm is the place where one undergoes the retribution for 3 kinds of actions. Namely, action to be experienced pleasantly, action to be experienced unpleasantly, and action to be experienced neither unpleasantly nor pleasantly. The form realm is the place where one undergoes the retribution of 2 types of actions. Namely, the action to be experienced pleasantly and the action to be experienced neither unpleasantly nor pleasantly. The formless realm is the place where one undergoes the retribution of one single kind of action, namely, the action to be experienced neither unpleasantly nor pleasantly. 6. There are retributions dependent on an object, and it is thanks to this object that one obtains the retribution of action. Thus, in the pools of King Fukielo-po, erroneous transcription for Fukielo-so equals Pakusati, there grew 1,000-petaled golden lotuses, as large as chariot wheels, and, because of them, a large crowd of people were overjoyed, and many went forth from home and obtained bounty. 7. The Buddha knows the places where beings carry out their actions, whether in the desire realm, the form realm, or the formless realm. If it is in the desire realm, he knows in what destiny If it is in the divine destiny, he knows among which gods. If it is among humans, he knows in what continent. If it is in Jambudvipa, he knows in what kingdom. If it is in a kingdom, he knows in what city or village. If it is in a vihara, he knows in what place. If it is in a city, he knows in what quarter, in what street, in what house and in what room. 8. The Buddha knows at what time a given action has been carried out, whether it was 1 generation ago, 2 generations ago, up to 100,000 generations ago. 9. He knows the number of times the retribution of a given action has been undergone, has not yet been undergone, will necessarily be undergone or not necessarily undergone. 10. He knows the good or bad tools that have been used to carry out an action. A knife, a stick, an order for an execution, etc. Semicolon. He knows if one has killed oneself or if one has ordered someone else to kill. It is the same for all other bad actions and also all good actions. 11. The Buddha knows what generosity and what disciplines have been cultivated. In regard to generosity, if a thing has been given, he knows if it is land, a house, a garment, food, medicine, a bed or seat, an object made of the 7 jewels. In regard to discipline, the Buddha knows if it is a discipline of vow, a discipline acquired naturally, a discipline of mental order, a discipline of speech, an ekadesakaran discipline, a pradesakaran discipline, a yadvuyaskaran discipline, a parapurnikaran discipline, a discipline of a single day, a discipline of observing the 7 good paths of action, a discipline observing the 10 precepts fully, or a discipline joined with concentration. 12. In regard to meritorious works, the Buddha knows those who cultivate the first, second, third or fourth dhyana, the 4 immeasurables of loving kindness, compassion, joy and equanimity and other similar causes and conditions of good actions. 13. The Buddha knows the various causes and conditions of bad actions, such as greed, malice, fear, bad views, bad friends, etc. He knows the various causes and conditions of good actions such as faith, compassion, respect, trance and absorption, wisdom, good friends, etc. Actions are dominant. There is no one among gods or men who is able to change the nature of actions. For thousands of years, myriads, hundreds of thousands of existences, action always follows its perpetrator without release, like a creditor pursuing his debtor. When the action meets the combination of causes and conditions, it produces its fruit of retribution, like a seed planted in the soil, encountering the